Today's story has a special inspiration. Our heart is a wonderful, fragile thing. I remember when it started. After she died, the silence was the worst. Not a sound in the house, except the beating of my heart. Not a sound except the faint hum of the ceiling fan that used to lull her to sleep. My wife, Emily, gone too soon. An accident, a screech of tires, and suddenly I was a widower. The grief felt like a parasite. It burrowed deep until it felt like it was consuming every thought, every breath. The walls of the house, the same walls we'd shared, felt too bright, too mocking. I had to change it. So I went down to the basement. I found a can of paint. Black. Pure. Midnight black. It started with one wall. Just one. A way to blot out the memories. To swallow the light. To give myself some peace, and after I'd finished, it felt better somehow. So I kept going. Days passed, maybe weeks. The living room became a tomb, the hallway a void, the kitchen a midnight realm. I worked with a mania that felt alien, brushing and rolling every surface until the world became a canvas of darkness. And then, when the walls weren't enough, I started on the furniture. First one table, then another, then the cabinets, then the picture frames, even Emily's photograph. As the black paint dried, I felt watched, not by a person, not by any living thing, but by something lurking just beyond the veil. In the silence between my strokes, in the faint sound of the paintbrush brushing the walls, I began to hear a whisper, a sound like a breath pressed to my ears. Not words, not yet, but a sound that promised words to come. The black paint felt like a seal, an offering. Every time I coated a surface, I felt the air grow colder. The deeper the black became, the stronger the whispers, the more suffocated the room felt. Then came the first night I saw it. Just a shimmer, a distortion in the dark. It stood in the corner of the living room, long and spindly, like a silhouette that refused to move. I froze, the paintbrush in hand, and watched as it tilted its long, impossibly thin head. The sound that came from it was like a scream buried deep in a tomb. I dropped the paint can and hurried out of the room. I locked myself in the bedroom until morning came. But when I emerged, shaking, I found streaks of fresh, black paint crawling across the floor like hands. Days became nights. Nights became a terror I can scarcely comprehend. The thing came closer each night, pressing itself to the edges of the room, stretching long, spidery fingers down the walls I had coated. The paint bubbled where it touched. The walls themselves felt alive. It spoke one night, not aloud, not in words, but in thoughts. It was ancient. It was hunger. It was the thing that came from the spaces between spaces. It liked the dark. It liked despair. And it liked the sound of a beating heart surrounded by silence. It promised to take the pain, to swallow the grief, to fill the hole Emily had left behind. All I had to do was paint. Just a little more. Just one more room. Just one more stroke of the brush until the house was gone. Today, I obeyed. The walls weren't enough anymore. The floorboards became black as midnight. The ceilings a velvety, dark tomb. The windows I sealed with blackness. The doors I barricaded with the pitch black darkness. The house became a place where no light could breathe. And still it came closer. Each night it pressed its long fingers to the walls. The sound was like a screech and a whisper combined. The smell was rot and ash. It promised silence, peace, oblivion. All I had to do was give it everything. Then one night, when the last room was sealed and no light remained, it came for me. It emerged from the walls like a wave of living shadow. Its long, spindly fingers closed around my arms, brushing my skin like ice. Its face was a mask of void, a scream that refused to make a sound. Its voice pressed into my mind like a rusted knife. Paint it black and be one with the dark. I don't remember falling. I don't remember screaming. I do remember knowing with absolute terror that I had invited it in and it would never leave. The next morning, the house was found. No one lived within its walls anymore. The windows were sealed. The door was painted shut. The inside was an absolute tomb of black. No footprints, no evidence of a struggle, and certainly no body. Only a single handprint pressed deep into a freshly painted wall, and the faint sound of a paintbrush brushing the air. They say the house still stands deep down a quiet lane, and if you listen closely at night, you can still hear the sound of bristles sliding across a surface, the sound of grief, the sound of a man lost to darkness, the sound of a thing that came from between spaces and claimed its home. If you ever find yourself with a can of black paint and a heart too broken to bear, be wary. Sometimes when you try to bury your grief, it doesn't stay buried. Sometimes it finds a way to bury you. If you enjoyed this story, I appreciate you so much. Leave a comment or a like to let me know how your own heart was broken and if you were able to overcome the grief. Have a frightfully fantastic day, and thanks for your enjoyment and support. Check out more with the links on the screen.